Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Butch Shorak, Options University. It's Friday, November 2nd, 2012. Access to this video is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing contained in this video, website, or promotional material constitutes a promotion, recommendation, solicitation, or offer of any particular investment, security, or transaction. Options University provides educational services that are meant to teach you the risks and rewards of trading stocks and options. We're not a service that tells you what to trade. We are not implying or guaranteeing any profit, and as always, do not trade with money that you cannot afford to lose. And looking at this week, in this very trade shortened week, as we had this very unique situation where we had 2 days of non-trading because of a hurricane hitting New York City. With that thought in mind, we basically only had Wednesday and Thursday of this week so far to see what had happened. And as we looked at the week end of last week, we were in a sideways cycle, going absolutely nowhere, total indecision out of the market. And Wednesday, when the market finally did open after the 2 days off, we ended up with more indecision as we ended up with a spinning top. Being in an oversold position, we finally got our bounce and started heading up. And so our sideways trend continues as we're spending time above the 30-day moving average and below the 30-day moving average. Expectations are that we should be getting a bounce. We are now in an up cycle in this market. Let's take a look at a little magnified view of this, and we can see exactly what that looks like. Two funny looks there for Monday and Tuesday. Spinning top on Wednesday, breakout on Thursday from our oversold position. Expectations, where can we rise to? Well, got a target up there of around 1465, because remember, moving averages don't mean a whole lot in sideways trends. But all we got to remember that Tuesday we have the big news coming out of the election. Who's going to lead the country for the next 4 years, and how is it going to be led, and what effect will it have at business? Those things certainly liable to have a big influence on what happens in the market and what market expectations are, depending on who the candidate is. So SPX now in an upward cycle and a sideways trend, with our moving averages basically sitting in a bullish position, but headed towards a cross here, as the 30 is above the 50, which is above the 200. S&P showing good strength on Thursday, up 1% for the day, being led by the tech sector, and we will in a moment take a look at that NASDAQ and how it led the market up. S&P up 1% for the day, and breakout from that bottom level of support, which held. Let's take a look at the Dow, see what it did. Looks very similar. The Dow a little bit weaker, as it was very near its 200-day moving average, but we did get a bounce on the Dow, and kind of average volume with that bounce. No big volume surge, and Dow up about the same 1% as the S&P. The leader for the day, of course, being led up was the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the tech sector, as we see it had almost a 1.5% move out of the NASDAQ composite as it bounced off of that 200-day moving average. Notice that's the difference between the S&P and the NASDAQ, is that it had a bigger, deeper pullback. And so we are now in an upcycle in the NASDAQ, and the tech sector had a good showing as there was lots of news that came out on Thursday, which may have helped the market bounce from this oversold position. As we saw employment numbers better than expected, we saw ISM better than expected, we see consumer sentiment better than expected. Every single economic announcement that we were waiting for on Thursday came out and was better than expected, as we would love to see some kind of move out of the overall economy as we head into the next 4-year section. Let's next take a look at the small cap section, the Russell, and see what percentage it was up on our breakout Thursday. And we see that it too broke out and is in an uptrend, up cycle rather, basically sitting in a downtrend, showing us that it's very near resistance. And of course we had this crossover crossover take place between the 30 and the 50 as the 30 crossed down through the 50, showing us a little bit of weakness in the Russell 2000 as it was up 1.1% for the day, but certainly in a downtrend as the Russell has been help leading us down. And so with that thought in mind, let's go ahead and move forward. The VIX on Thursday, it was trading well into the middle of the range of our 20 to 15 range for the VIX, as the VIX is showing us not a whole lot of fear in the market as we head into our big election day. Looking at our TLT, our ETF for bonds, we saw that it was down for the day as bonds pulled back, as the market pulled up. That is a normal expectation. It had been in an up cycle, basically looks like a downtrending issue for the bonds, and we see that the bonds gave us a sell signal on Thursday as we get a lower high, lower low in the cycle that bonds go through, which is usually contrarian to what the market pulls through. Can be exceptions to that in October, as we see that we've been steadily selling off on the bonds since August. All right, with that fact in mind, let's take a look at the financials. We'll look at the XLF, the spider, this sector being carried by Bernanke, and we see that QE3 certainly helped influence this, as this sector is trading in a sideways trend. Notice the trading within our yellow zone up here, looking for that target out of the XLF, bounced off the 50-day moving average, up 1.2% for the day, as it gave us a buy signal on Wednesday. XLF, so what kind of bounce did we have? What kind of volume? So right around average volume coming out of that sector, as we generally see it follow the overall markets, and it's kind of a healthy sign when we see that taking place. USO, our oil ETF, up very little for the day, but we saw we did get a little bit higher high and a little bit higher low as we're in an upcycle on oil, very depressed from where it was just a short period ago, as oil has pulled back again, probably waiting for news out of the election to see which way the country floats as to which way the country is going to be run during the next four-year session. Finally, let's take a look at golds, their safe haven, and see that there was a little bit of leaving gold as we're no longer up around that $1,800 an ounce area, and we've had a bit of a pullback in gold. Nothing remarkable there, as we got a lower high, lower low, sell signal on gold. But remember, again, Tuesday could change every single market that we're looking at. So for those of you that are short-term traders, be careful as we go into this section. Let's take a look and see what kind of volume we had on Thursday with this about around a 1% breakout and then a heavier breakout in the NASDAQ. Big news that we had on Thursday, as we got strong numbers out of all of our economic indicators. We see that we had our breakout from our trading range, and we see that it was on basically less than average volume, and that's to be expected, as basically markets sitting around waiting for news out of the election. All right, with that thought, for those of you that are gold members, stick around for our stocks to watch. We'll see what kind of effect as the market went up 1%. Which way did our stocks go? Most of our stocks having now gone through earnings, we have an idea of what kind of patterns are going to set as we go forward. And so for those of you that are not gold members, if you want more free videos, go to www.optionsuniversity.com/free gold. With that thought in mind, this is Butch Shorak. It's Options University. It's Friday, November 2nd, 2012, already into the month of November. How the year flies. This should be the strongest quarter of the year, but again, with the election, it kind of overpowers everything. That's what news does. So to you ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. And to our gold members, well, welcome back. Let's take a look where we are as far as support and resistance on our S&P. Looking at the overall market, we see that we're sitting below the 30 and the 50-day moving average. 30-day moving average has rolled over as we have gone into this sideways trend, headed for our yellow zone as we're headed back up on our sideways trend. Expectations are that we should go to 1464. Whether that's going to happen before the election is hard to say, but we are currently in an up cycle. We're in an up cycle. Our next target up there is 1431, and then above that 1440, which is our 30-day moving average, and then on up to 1364, which is that other area of resistance that we had above us. We've got basically 2 days till we find out who the next president is going to be, and it could completely change all of our technical analysis, as we could change trends with this information. My expectations are it may not have that big of an overall effect, as the economic announcements are coming out good. Earnings came out weaker than expected, but then again, there seems to be a certain amount of optimism as we head into 2013. So with that, you see that we've got a bounce. We're in an upcycle, and that upcycle will continue until it ends. Look for higher highs and higher lows until we get to some new area of resistance above us, and we've got some of them listed right here for you to give you an idea of where your targets can be for the next 3 to 5 days. Again, overwhelmingly could have big change in the market from the election. We'll see how Wall Street reacts to that. Looking at our stocks to watch, taking a look at Amazon, we see that it had earnings, had a huge volume surge on the day of earnings, but not a whole lot has taken place since then, even as the market bounced on Thursday. Notice Amazon lost some of its pizzazz and seems to basically be kind of drifting in this position. Did not beat earnings, did not forecast strong going forward. Next, let's take a look at Apple. Our tech leader, or as some people call our economy, Applenomics. You see that we are above the 200-day moving average. Many could consider this a buying opportunity. We saw that earnings came out, but one of the things that Apple's looking for is this strike to end in China so they can start delivering this iPhone 5. As that strike definitely will hurt Apple as far as it needs to pump every single day if it's going to lead the market the way it always has. Announced the mini pad, and we'll see how all that's affect. Overall, one can expect this is some kind of buying opportunity for Apple. We should expect it to resume. Did get a buy signal on Thursday. Again, I'd wait before entering any new positions till after the election to see what kind of effect the overall economy will have on the market. AutoZone had a nice little run going to new highs for the last 3 months, as we see it headed up, and it has just kept moving up for about the last week or so. Our earnings coming up on AutoZone in December, so a bit of a ways off, but we had a very big announcement out of Advanced Auto Parts, as there's talk of Blackstone being hired to peddle this stock off, and we got a bounce out of AutoZone basically in sympathy with that. CMG, looking at CMG, we see we bounced off of that lower 200-day moving average or whatever. Yeah, that's that 200-day moving average sitting there. Notice what a straight line that is. I had to look at it twice. Our goal here is to fill the gap, so we're got a target up there around 290. Any cooperation out of the market, we should see this gap fill as CMG is on an up cycle. The overall trend of the stock is not what it once was, but it most likely will fill that gap. Next, taking a look at Google, we see Google is doing nothing fast, very different from last quarter. Last quarter, it just continued to go up. We had earnings come out. Obviously, they weren't all that impressive as Google isn't showing us anything, and we've done nothing but go sideways. You got a little bit of a buy signal, but this stock is changed its trend. It was in an uptrend for the entire last quarter, and this quarter we see that, since earnings, we see that it is going sideways. Has not yet gotten back on its parade. Green Mountain Coffee, we see that we had a nice little bounce on Thursday, broke out of its latest trading zone, and we'll see whether it continues to bounce up as it should be headed for earnings here. Wait until after earnings to do anything on Green Mountain Coffee. Looking at ISRG, let's go back one. There we go. ISRG certainly had an earnings announcement that was well liked by Wall Street, showing good overall strength of the overall market as we're trading in a new zone for the last 3 months. Any kind of a pullback whatsoever in ISRG looks like a buy signal for those of you that are technicians. Use your favorite bullish strategy to buy this on pullbacks. MasterCard, let's take a look at MasterCard. Got a buy signal out of that on Wednesday. If you took advantage of it, you were happy on it on Thursday. As we see, we had earnings. It basically sold off going into earnings. Didn't give us any big strength. But remember, this is a stock that's got the 30 above the 50-day moving average, above the 200-day moving average, and showing good strength and well favored by QE3. All right, looking at McDonald's, we see that McDonald's, our big restaurant chain, is depressed and going lower, well below all of its moving average, certainly getting to the oversold position. But how low will it go? It's like grabbing a falling knife. Have other stocks look like that? Yeah, Nike looked just like McDonald's, but look at what happened on Thursday as we saw Nike just pop up out of nowhere. Got a buy signal on it with a higher high and a higher low on Wednesday. And Thursday, as the market jumped, boy, this stock just took a big chunk, up 4.34% for the day, as Nike is trying to do it again. But first target up there around 97, then 98. We'll see whether Nike's going to have follow through today. All right, with that in mind, let's take a look at Priceline that had earnings last night. Again, this stock after earnings was surprised to the upside. Everything looked good. We'll see where this opens this morning. Up 2% on Thursday. And remember, news changes everything. So we'll see where Priceline's going to come out, as it had a big day in the market on Thursday, and we'll see what kind of effect takes place from the earnings announcement which took place after the market on Thursday night. All right, and finally, let's go to our old stable stock, the stock that just keeps right on chugging along. W.W. Grainger didn't participate in the Thursday move in the market whatsoever, and we see that when we're earnings, just a short period ago where they were not well received, but they certainly did bounce back after the opening, went down, hit that support line down there, and then we saw that it pulled back with the overall market. We'll see if it pulls up. If you get a buy signal out of this, you're going to have a target of around 210. Trading in this sideways zone. W.W. Grainger, certainly a stock to watch, and having nice movements within certain ranges, and one you can take advantage of with your short-term option strategies, whatever your favorite strategy might be. With that, that's the stocks to watch. This is Butch Shorak. It's Options University, and it's Friday, November 2nd, 2012. Have a great weekend, and next week we got the big election coming through, which, remember, news overpowers everything.